Wait a second, there's no way. You went to Starbucks without me? And you got a drink without me?
Hi.
And we're supposed to be dating? This is crazy. I'm kidding, I'm Tristan, nice to meet you.
Hello.
What's your name?
I'm Sumin.
Sumin?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful name. Where are you from?
I'm from South Korea.
Hey, welcome to Mexico. We're glad to have you.
Yeah.
You have an adorable energy. Wow.
Yeah.
And this is the longest handshake I've ever done.
I'm looking for a cute boyfriend I could buy a car for and a PS5 for. I just got my income tax, so hit me up. Looking for a boyfriend.
I haven't really done much Passport Bros content in a while because I was kind of waiting until I go on vacation to Bali and Singapore. If you're new here, because I know I recently gained about 66 subscribers according to the YouTube breakdown of the channel. But if you're new here, and you're here because you had seen me on other Passport Bro content, soon I'll be going to Bali and Singapore, and I'll be spending some time there. I'll be flying business class on Japan's All Nippon Airways. That's ANA. And I'll be using the room, which that's what they call their business class. I'll be doing some videos on that. But while I'm in Bali, I'll definitely be doing Passport Bros labeled content, and I'll be putting it up on my YouTube. For the time being, however, I haven't really been putting up much content because I haven't really seen many things going on in the news related to the Passport Bros. As of April 5th, 2024, this article right here was put up, and I took a quick gander at it, but I didn't really read it too closely. And in the gander, I basically figured out that this is probably some feminist or some emasculated feminist who wrote this, because based on what I had seen, that's what it looked like. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take this article by the Collider. It's written by Sheridan Singleton, and it was published on April 5th, 2024. So it's called Love in Translation Puts the Concept of Passport Bros Front and Center. Now, I'll definitely give you the link to this so you can read this yourself, because to tell you the God's honest truth, I've read so many perspectives by so many different people, varying from feminists to unwanted strags to emasculated females, male chauvinists, this, that, and other, all types of people. Like, these people identify with this, identify with that. Most of them aren't even really worth mentioning. So I'm just going to read it. If I get bored, I'm just going to either skip sections or whatever. But I'll give you the link and you can read it yourself. Because to tell you the truth, most of these people can't write. It's almost as if they use artificial intelligence to help them, conjure up these articles. And then they just edit them a little bit and then they just throw them out there. But a lot of this stuff is just trash. So anyway, it says Love in Translation claims to be an experiment on language barriers and love, but it also shines a light on the idea of Passport Bros, right? Now, first of all, these three men, as you can see, are not black males. Therefore, they are not Passport Bros. Passport Bros specifically denotes black males. Now, they're white men who travel. Those are the Passport Joes. Or you can call them whatever you want, but they're not Passport Bros. You can call them whatever you want. So these guys aren't Passport Bros. Now, you can call them the Passport Joes, and then you have, you have all types of other guys who travel and they're looking for women, but I'm not interested in them. I'm only talking about black males traveling, looking for better deals overseas. So anyway, I just had to throw that out there. So it says Love in Translation features American men trying to build relationships with non-English speaking women using body language and minimal verbal communication. Well, considering you can't speak their language most likely, and body language is pretty much all you really have, I guess that's kind of a given. Passport Bros are American men who seek relationships with foreign women due to stereotypes about Western women, perpetuating misogyny and misogynoir. So there you already see, this is how they're setting up the article. Like, I think the sad thing is that people's reading comprehension and their attention spans are so low at this point because we've been force-fed garbage that they have to give you these bullet points up front just to give you some idea about what you're about to read. And right there, they pretty much already tell you the tone of the article. They tell you how they're going to set this article up. And they've come to this conclusion that the passport bros are spreading misogyny and misogynoir. So anyway, seeking women in other countries for control. Once again, they've done it again. They're setting this up to make it look like the males are controlling freaks and this, that, and other. Perpetuates stereotypes and often leads to disappointment, as seen in 90 Day Fiancé and Love in Translation. So, first of all, 90 Day Fiancé, if you've never watched it before, and I used to watch it a lot, 90 Day Fiancé is a show based on what's called the K-1 visa. The K-1 visa is basically how American men are able to get foreign wives and then import them to the country to marry them. So basically the way it works is the K-1 visa has to be applied for. If you're an American man, you go overseas, you meet a woman, you have to take photos and you have to bring documentation, and she's going to have to do the same thing because you're going to have to be interviewed by your state's interviewer, whoever that is in your embassy or your consulate. And ultimately, you're applying for a 90-day visa. So what basically happens is if you're an American man, let's say you go to, South Korea, and you meet a woman there, and y'all fall in love, and you like her, and this, that, and other. If she wants to marry you, and she wants to move back to the country with you, America in this case, the 90-day visa gives her 90 days once she actually is approved, and she comes to your country to marry you. So from the day she gets that visa approved and enters the country, she has 90 days from that point to get married to you, or she has to leave the country. So the vast majority of 90-day visas are designed pretty much that way. It's called the K-1 visa. So 90-day visa, 90-day fiancé, it was designed around the K-1 visa, and basically they realized early on that if they get loud, ostentatious freaks on the show, that it will absolutely give them higher ratings. So they went and got a guy named No Neck Ed. They went and got a Brazilian woman who was loud and ostentatious, and she had horrible manners and this, that, and other. And they realized that the louder and the crazier that these people got, the higher their ratings would be. So the 90-day visa, 90-day fiancé show, it turned from what could have been an interesting show into an absolute freak show. And that's part, TLC, they have no shame. TLC also runs, shows like my 600-pound life. So as you know, like TLC, they have no shame. They'll show the freaks. Like, you remember how in the old days, the circus, they would have freaks and they'd have like, oh yeah, the 500-pound man. And then America made the 500-pound man the norm, or the 300-pound man became the norm. They used to have freak shows in circuses. Channels like TLC normalized it, and they made these people, they just put them out there. I mean, the circus, they used to have dwarfs, like, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. TLC normalized it. They said, yeah, let's make a show about dwarfs. And I think they have two. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have like three, but that's besides the point. But bottom line is, they don't take this seriously. Most of them are doing this for views and clicks. They're looking for you to watch their ads. It's like who ever heard of the Collider.com? I mean, have you ever read anything, worthwhile from the Collider? No, of course not. So the reality is, this is what they're doing. They try to figure out what's popular, and they ride the coattails of whatever that is, as far as it'll go. So it says, what happens when you take 3 American men who are looking for love outside of the United States and put them in a house with 12 women from all over the world? It may sound like every straight man's dream, but in this case, there's a catch. None of those women speak any English. Oh my God. Really? Okay, this is the precise concept of the new reality series Love and Translation. These men have to get to know all 12 women using only body language, facial expressions, and their best attempts to speak with little to no language at all. The speaking attempts usually end with the American men saying the same English words louder in the hopes of creating more understanding, which never works because the volume they're speaking at has nothing to do with making someone understand the English language better. Now, before I go on, this whole idea of women not speaking English from all over the world, I don't believe that for even a second. One thing I know from having traveled all over the world, with the exception of South America, one thing I understand is that in those schools, English is treated as a trade language, and the majority of students overseas are taught a basic conversational English, and they learn a lot of English grammar rules. And that's part of their basic education. Now, here in America, these kids don't learn anything at all. They're sitting on their cell phones watching TikTok. And I have a government that has pretty much allowed the debate about whether or not to get rid of TikTok because it's turning these kids' brains into mush. They've allowed that debate to just disappear, while meanwhile Israel and Iran are firing drones and nukes and shit and shooting at each other. They've allowed all of this TikTok stuff to just go under the bridge, and it's been forgotten. And meanwhile, the American student is failing. You can't even talk about their graduation rates because they're being pumped by the fact that they're graduating any and everybody. But meanwhile, what you don't hear them talking about is the college dropout rates. You see, all of that student loan, that $1.8 trillion, that came from somewhere. It came from students getting worthless degrees, going to party schools, and then not being able to pay that money back. So the reality is they're allowing TikTok and everything else to destroy these kids. They're going to these schools, dropping out. Meanwhile, when you look at these other countries, all of their kids, for the most part, can speak some level of English, which is amazing. You know, they have a saying, they're like, yeah, your English is better than my Chinese. Yeah, that's exactly right, because you spent time in school learning while here I'm up here fucking off. But you know what? Again, that's besides the point. What the reality is, I don't believe that these women are completely unable to speak English. I don't believe that for 1 second. You can't, there's very, very few countries that you can go to where English isn't used at all. There's very few countries. So I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. I bet you if you actually talk to the women, you find out, oh, wait a minute, they know English just fine. But anyway, it says these men have to get to know all 12 women using body language, facial expression, their best attempts to speak with little or no language at all. The speaking attempts usually end with the American men saying the same English words loud. Blah, blah, blah. Regardless of this, it is fun to watch these people attempt to build a loving relationship without words. The three bachelors, Trip, Dylan, and Khalil, all have varied experiences in the house. Trip, who was in the Marines, is a self-proclaimed hopeless romantic who has had the most difficulty despite looking like the all-American boy. Dylan, who is the one the women in the house were most attracted to, has done well due to his looks and charm. Khalil, who has the least experience romantically, is ironically the house favorite due to his gentlemanly manner, kind personality, and general ability to understand that different cultures have different norms. These three men are felt unlucky in love with the women in their own country, and this show provided them the opportunity to find true love elsewhere. Now, let's go back to this picture real quick. Now, as a man, an American man, looking at these three guys, I don't know how tall they are, but I can honestly say none of them look overweight. They all look like they probably have decent muscular builds. And if they're having trouble finding women in America to have relationships with, I don't blame these males for that. I blame the fact that these males are not attracted to the women that America has to offer them. Now, the feminists always try to spin this, and they try to make it like, oh, well, yeah, there's somebody for everybody, and, maybe it's just that the women that they're interested in don't like them, so they should just find somebody. It's like, yeah, and that's the reason why they're going abroad. But the first thing they do is they try to label it misogyny when you go abroad and use your, how should I say, status as an American or your passport as an American in order to land foreign women. Now, again, if these women overseas really don't speak English, which I don't believe they do, I'm pretty sure they absolutely do speak English. I'm pretty sure they're not illiterate in English. And I'm pretty sure they're able to speak English. These women wouldn't be any more or less attracted to these men if they didn't know enough English to understand the concept of what it's like to be an American. Because part of these men's attractiveness is the fact that they are American. Therefore, those women have to know something about life in America, or at least a Western country. But I digress. Hold on. Let's go back and read the rest of this garbage. So anyway, their desire to date non-American women is not uncommon. The idea is most seen on 90 Day Fiancé with people like Big Ed. So this is the first Big Ed, if you remember, he had Klippel-Feil syndrome. And that meant that he had like no neck and his vertebra was like shortened. And it looked like he had like no neck, especially he had like some fat around his face, and his fat around his face made it look like he had no neck. So his name was Big Ed, and he was dating a Filipina. I believe her name was Rose Vargas, if I'm not mistaken. But her first name was definitely Rose. And Big Ed went to the Philippines, and now I don't understand how this dude tried to lie about his height. Now this guy is like 5'0", and he was trying to say he was like 6 feet tall. He was wearing like high-heeled sneakers or something. And he still met this single mom Filipina, slept with her, and they had a relationship for a while, but it ended up breaking up specifically because he said that he didn't want to have children. And he already had a daughter, but she wanted to have more children. She had a son, I believe his name was Prince, and she wanted to have more children. He didn't. But he lied to her and said, yeah, he wanted to have a relationship and he was interested in having children, but didn't tell her that he had had a vasectomy. He couldn't have any more children. So if memory serves, that was pretty much that story. There was another story that they don't talk about, and the episodes behind it were pretty good. It was about the Torobowskis. It was this guy, his last name was Torobowski. I forget what his first name was. And he went to Thailand, and he met a chick named Anna, I believe, and I think she was a bar girl, if I'm not mistaken. She was a Thai bar girl, and she was dating him. She claimed that she didn't care whether they had children or not. Now, he said up front that he didn't want to have children, but for you to be an older man trying to date one of these younger women, that's just stupid because their biological imperative is to have children. So anyway, she claimed that she wanted to get married and she didn't want to have children. Now, I knew that was cap right there. I knew sooner or later that was going to flip. And the possibility that she could cheat on him and, get pregnant that way and break up with him once she got her American green card, I always knew that was a possibility. But that's not what happened. What ended up happening was he had a vasectomy, so he ended up having to go and have surgery to reverse it. And right now, they are on Instagram. It's called, their name is the Torobowskis, right? So they're on the internet on Instagram, and they are expecting word about whether or not the in vitro implantation was successful. But from what I heard, they'd done it once and it wasn't. See, one of the things that these women don't seem to understand is in vitro is really expensive. It's like $10,000 a shot. And sometimes it doesn't even work. So a lot of times what the doctors try to do is they try to implant multiple eggs that are fertilized, or they try to fertilize multiple eggs, and sometimes you get like ectopic pregnancies and this, that, and other. But the bottom line is a lot of times these in vitro fertilizations end with twins being born because they try multiple eggs in order to make sure that it actually takes. A lot of times it fails. But that's besides the point. But bottom line is they always harp on the freak show of 90 Day Fiancé. And 90 Day Fiancé does its best to make it, I understand they have to make it entertaining, but they've made it a freak show. It's like I don't even watch it anymore because it got ridiculous. I mean, it really, really got ridiculous. And some of the people that they were showing, you could tell that they were doing it just for higher ratings. Instead of just telling a story, instead of just having normal people telling a love story, they said, no, let's turn it into a freak show. And that's what they did. So I don't watch it anymore. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably don't watch it who are listening to this. I'm probably sure a lot of you don't. So anyway, yeah, this is the picture that they use as a promo. Using a 90-day fiancé visa, overseas fiancés will travel to the U.S. to live with their partners for the first time. Each couple will have just 90 days to decide to get married or send their international mate home. Right, so I think it says they have had 10 seasons. Release date was in 2014, January 12th. Okay, so let's keep going. It says passport bros don't care as much about their own love and translation situations. Now, look at these women and look at their flags. Now, a lot of these flags I recognize because I've been beating the hell out of people on chess.com. So the chick in the upper right, I'm pretty sure that's the French flag, blue, white, and red. And if you remember the movie Lord of War, they said, yeah, if you fly this flag sideways, some people get confused and they'll think the Russian flag is actually French. Anyway, you see Germany in the middle, Brazil at the top, Japan on the top left. That's Italy, I believe, or Mexico, green, white, and red. I think that's Italy or Mexico. It's one of those two. And then obviously they all have American flags at the bottom. And I believe that this is Colombia with red, yellow, and green, I think. And I know that's Germany in the middle. I know that. But anyway, it says the Passport Bros movement has grown over the past several years. It's comparable to the men's movement based on the reasons why these men feel American women are not right for them. Their desire to meet women from other countries is driven by a variety of reasons. So what is a passport bro? Now, I'm going to say it again. A passport bro is a black American male, not anything else, not African, not West Indian. So black American male traveling overseas to find love, romance, and marriage. That's what a passport bro is. Now, they keep coming up with all these other distinctions, and they keep making pictures, and they talking about Austin Abetio, which I'm not talking about at all. But no, it's a black American male. But all of these other people are jumping onto the passport bro's name and riding the coattails because they're trying to pump themselves up in the algorithm. So anyway, it says, what is a passport bro? According to the Urban Dictionary, passport bros are men who have chosen to seek out foreign women, typically from other countries, for relationships. No. So anyway, they believe that Western women have been influenced by cultural and societal pressures to behave in a certain way, and that by seeking out foreign women, they can find a more authentic, fulfilling, and harmonious relationship. This is seen as a way to restore the natural balance between masculine and feminine energy and to avoid the wickedness of Western women. These men tend to search for love in East Asia, South Asian countries like China, East Asian and South. Okay, so they say East Asian and South Asian countries. I'm going to change that to Asian and Southeast Asian countries. The Philippines and Thailand and other Eastern European countries like Russia and Ukraine, which are currently at war. Okay, their reasons for seeking women in these countries predominantly fall in line with stereotypes of these women being ideal because they are more subservient. While the movement has been predominantly populated by white American men, more black men have begun joining the movement, with more of them focusing on Latin American countries, starting with Mexico and moving southward. And let me please just say this. If you're a black American male listening to me, please stay away from Colombia. I'm sick and tired of hearing about you going to Colombia and getting drugged and getting poisoned and shit with scopolamine. I'm tired of hearing it. And the thing that bothers me is you don't give the enemy any ammunition. You don't give them ammunition. You just don't. When you go down to Colombia and you go to Mexico and something happens to you, all they do is they come on TikTok and they use it as examples of why you should stay home and accept your fate, dating some single mom or being what we call a cleanup bro, cleaning up some woman's life after she's made all of her mistakes and ruined herself. They expect you to stay home and to use your resources and finances to support them. That's what they expect. That makes you a plantation bro. Now, if you're a stepdad and oh yeah, I really like little Corey, so I'm gonna be a male role model in his life, because his mom, she was dating Ray Ray, and Ray Ray ended up in jail. And, she was also dating Pookie. So she's got 2 kids, one by Pookie, one by Ray Ray. So I'm going to step up and be a male role model. Listen, if you want to be a cleanup bro, good for you. But the reality is that's what they expect. They need your resources in order to, how should I say, supplement their lack of income and their lack of welfare checks that the government can't give them because we're busy sending money to Ukraine and Israel. So don't be a cleanup, bro. And please stay away from Colombia. Please. Please stay away from Colombia. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about you getting drugged in Colombia. What you should do is be more like me. I only travel to countries that have totalitarian governments, dictators, kings, monarchs. Like, for instance, I like Thailand. They have a king. The Thailand has a king. And if you go there, you can't even talk bad about him because you could end up in jail. So, yes, it's totalitarian. It's a monarchy. China, you already know about China. They don't play. They don't tolerate drugs. They don't tolerate rape. They don't tolerate murder. They execute people who drug tourists. Like, I want you to understand that. If I was in China and they tried to drug me and something happens to me, they are going to track down those people and execute them. Do you understand that? When I go to Thailand, Thailand has an anti-drug policy. They literally have it posted. It says drugs equal death. Because what they do, I want you to understand, like, some people might think that I'm joking. Let me just make you understand. My only priority in this life is my safety. If I go someplace, my safety is paramount. I could care less if the rest of the world burns down. My safety is paramount, right? So when I go to these countries, I only go to countries where it's totalitarian and their governments absolutely make certain that I am safe as a tourist. Because if I'm not safe as a tourist, it makes the government look weak. But these governments refuse to look weak. They will take you out for making them look weak. That's how it works. So when I go to these countries, like, for instance, I love Dubai. I love it. Like, you see how all these hair hats who go from here to Dubai and they get locked up because they can't keep their mouth shut and they don't know how to act? Well, I've gone to Dubai multiple times. I have a great time. You've seen my videos. I'm flying business class on Emirates, landing in Dubai, drinking up all their champagne, showering in they shower spas. I'm on the streets walking around Dubai. I'm having a great time. I'm up there arguing with the sheikhs about who's better, Samsung or Apple. I'm having a good time. But when these hair hats go to Dubai, they get locked up. Why? Because they don't know how to act. I never got locked up. I love Dubai. You know how all these people, they talking bad about Dubai because Dubai might not honor their passport because they come from, quote unquote, certain countries. And Dubai might say, yeah, well, we're not honoring your passport. You're not allowed to come in here. Oh, yeah, well, I hate Dubai. I hate y'all. I hate Dubai. Yeah, well, guess what? I love Dubai. I want to go back. I don't know when I'll go back. Last time was Maldives. The time before that was Seychelles. But I love Dubai. Because when I go there, I feel the safest as a tourist, as safe can be. When I go to China, I speak Mandarin. I can read and write it. I love China. You know why? I can go to an ATM at 2 o'clock in the morning and nobody would even look at me sideways. You know why? Because that government don't play over there. You see the nonsense that goes on in New York and America where you're on the subway and you got homeless people pushing people in front of trains and all. China don't tolerate none of that at all. I love China. I love going, Wo ai zhongguo. I love China. Wo ai zhongguo. Love it. You go to Japan. Japan has the death penalty still on the books. If anybody does anything to you over there and it qualifies, oh yeah, they're going to get, you know what, how the Japanese do it? They put you in a cell but they don't tell you when they're going to take you out. They don't tell you. They let you sit there and wonder about it. And it's absolute mental psychological torture. You might go through 10 or 20 years and you just don't know when is today the day. You just don't know. I love it. South Korea kind of does the exact same thing. But bottom line is, you go over there, even Tucker Carlson, he did a video on Russia. Oh, evil, Putin's evil, Putin's evil. Well, Putin just got reelected to another 6 years in the presidency, and he's going to be there for another 6 years, right? Putin makes certain that Russia is safe. Now, you can make fun of Tucker Carlson, oh, yeah, well, he just said that the trains run on time. Putin makes certain that if you're a tourist in Russia, it's safe for you. If I go there, ain't nobody going to bother me. At all. They'll look at, hey, how you doing, American? Yes, comrade, blah, blah, blah. But ain't nobody going to do nothing. You know why? Because what that government will do to them will make what they did to me look like a picnic. And they ain't going to do nothing to me because they don't want to get dealt with. And that's what I like. So those are the countries I like going to. Those are the countries I love. That's why I'm going to Bali. I'm going to Singapore. You know what Singapore does. What did this dude do? I think they were damaging people's cars, and Singapore pulled their pants down and caned them. That's what I'm talking about. Singapore has an anti-drug policy. You know what they do? They hang you. I believe Indonesia does too. Bali, yeah, you get hanged. They don't play that. They don't play. So when I go to, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look up the number of black men who have ever traveled to Indonesia, Thailand, or Singapore, and somebody used scopolamine and drugged them. I want you to find me a number. You know what that number is? That number is 0. You know why it's 0? Because if somebody did do it, they don't exist no more. And that's what I have to get my point across. That's how it is. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't playing no more games. That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, their reasons for seeking women in these countries predominantly fall in line with stereotypes of these women being ideal because they are more subservient. While the movement has been predominantly populated by white American men, more black men have begun joining the movement, with more of them focusing on Latin American countries, starting Mexico and moving southward. This movement with black men gained popularity after a filmmaker named Al Grease called Frustrated, following black men who began relationships with Brazilian women. The men in the film primarily express frustrations in dating, specifically with black women, as they feel black women treat them too harshly and that allegedly take more than they can give. So look at this picture. It says, Passport Bros uplift misogyny and misogynoir. So here you have a black male with what looks to be like a European Asian female, Asiatic features, whatever. These men feel that they'll receive the love and validation they are looking for elsewhere. The problem isn't the fact that they are looking for love elsewhere. After all, women do it too. Well, women go to these other countries so that they can sit on rafts. We've got videos. They sit on rafts and they got guys who put plastic bags over their member and they're giving them all types of nasty, horrible massages and they're catching these diseases and they're bringing them back to America. You know, they go to these countries, you know, they don't want to talk about it, but a lot of them get, quote unquote, unalived in these countries like Jamaica, Ghana. And, I've also heard that a lot of these women keep trying to go over to Ghana for whatever reason to buy property. And the Ghanaian government doesn't even really recognize their rights to the property. So they'll take your money, they'll give you a deed or a title, and then later on they'll forget that your deed or title exists, and they'll sell your land or whatever it was off to the next highest bidder. They don't care. Which is one of the reasons why I'll never invest in foreign property. I invest in property right here in America. Whatever my property is, it's here in America. I don't trust any other foreign government, especially after what you saw during COVID. You know, there were people who had invested in places in the Philippines and stuff and lost their investment because they couldn't even get over there because they couldn't travel for like 2 years. So, no, I do my investments Here, they have a very old saying. They say, out of sight, out of mind. Why would I invest money in something I can't see, touch, taste, or smell? It doesn't make sense. So anyway, it says, after all, women do it too, and there are others who find this kind of love completely by accident. Some men simply leave the United States because it's becoming too expensive to live a quality life. The latter reasons are not problematic. It is the sentiment behind the Passport Bros movement that is most troubling. This is seen even more so with black men as they continue to propel the stereotype of either the angry black woman or the idea that black American women are either lazy and superficial, also known as misogyny. What? Oh, whatever. There is also an issue of black women being too educated. Perspectives in anthropology poses that the educated black woman can make some men feel emasculated. They state black American women have made unprecedented progress in education and professionalism and student loan debt. In fact, they have achieved success in many areas that were unavailable to them through student loan debt. The pool for desirable mates has decreased, leaving black American women with limited choices and student loan debt.
Why?
Because I just want to say, Jonathan, black man, embrace me.
You are sexy.
Embrace me.
I don't like
right
your
now.
attitude. What? I don't like your attitude.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? Do you forgive me?
I tell you what. Hear this out. No.
There you go.
Forgive me, black man. Forgive me.
No, listen.
This is a big man.
I'm asking for your forgiveness for anything that we've done to hurt you, because all we want is you.
Look,
All we want is you.
Y'all not listening.
Okay, these ideals and beliefs fall more in line with being an incel. Now here, I don't know how we got to that, but okay. Than it does being a hopeless romantic. The reason these men go to countries is because they want a woman they can control. It is deeply rooted in misogyny and the idea of women needing to be subservient to their men. The ironic part is that they often discover that women, regardless of where they're from, are still their own people. 90 Day Fiancé has often shown these men getting their hearts broken by these women because they refuse to put up with their behavior. It's also... What the fuck? Oh, wait. It's also seen in the difficulties Tripp has been having on Love and Translation, as he chooses to ignore cultural differences, saying he doesn't see culture, and the consequence is that he is the least liked man in the house. What these men fail to realize time and time again is that the stereotypes are just that, stereotypes. Big Ed learned this in his relationship with a Filipina named Rose, who had no qualms telling him how she really felt and ultimately dumped him before he could even begin the K-1 visa. Okay, first of all, I already gave you the storyline behind Rose. Obviously, this author does not know what he's talking about. Ed lied to her and said that he didn't mind possibly having children. He slept with her, and they started their relationship. He was even invited into the home, met her whole family. He slept next to a rat. He showered next to a rat. The rat looked tired and sickly, and the rat was asking him to get him out of here. Bottom line was, Rose wanted to have children, more children. She's already a Filipina single mom by the time she was like 16 or something like that. But she wanted to have more children. So Prince, as you could see from the show, her son, she wanted to have more than just Prince, and Ed did not. Ed already had a daughter back in the United States. But the bottom line was, Rose was even on record as in the show. Rose was like, yeah, I would have kept going with him except for the fact that he didn't want children and I did. She even said that. But anyway, says Passport Bros may think seeking out women from other countries will land them their subservient wives, but they need to remember that the grass isn't greener on the other side. Yeah, that's exactly what you want the Passport Bros to think. You want them to stay on the plantation and stop trying to leave. That's exactly what you want. But that seems to be it. This person is obviously a weak author. He watches TV and he reports on what he sees. I'm really, really not moved by this article. There's really not much of substance here. And that's basically just that. Because as you can see, the vast majority of what this person is talking about came from, two different television shows, both of which, by the way, are on TLC. You have to recognize, when you see a person write, the most important thing that you need to understand is what is this person's agenda? And you also have to see what is this person's perspective. This person has no global perspective at all. You can see that by the writing. This person's perspective is limited to what they saw on TLC. 2 shows, and this person's only able to really talk about just a handful of episodes. Specifically, Big Ed with Rose. And, what's happening with somebody named Tripp. I'm not sure which one of these losers that is. But it's really, this is what you have to contend with. This right here is what you have to contend with. And this is the level of propaganda that has been put out against the Passport Bros. And they're angry. And they have very good reason to be angry. First of all, I like to use, how should I say, more absolute language. The reality is what the Passport Bros are doing and what we've been doing is shifting resources from domestic women to foreign women. Men in general, if you even take a good look, men in general are actually getting wealthier over time because some of the things that they don't have to worry about is divorce, child support, family court. They don't have to worry about those things because they're choosing not to engage with these females here in America. So what they're choosing to do, especially now that they see the Passport Bros movement, is they're choosing to wait and save themselves for a foreign relationship. In the meantime, they're able to pocket more money. They're able to work on themselves and build up their career. They're reaching their 30s and then realizing, I think I want to have a family, but I absolutely don't want to be with any of these women, so I'm going to go overseas. Now they have the resources to do that. Now, see, in the old days, they would have probably been married in their late 20s, and God knows how long that marriage would have lasted, but they would have probably been married in their late 20s. They may never have gotten a passport. They may never have traveled. Modern men are getting their passports, traveling, making more money, saving more money, and they're seeing the world. They are dating in foreign countries. They are watching YouTube. They're seeing foreign men, foreign women, how they interact. They're watching Passport Bros dating foreign women, seeing how those interactions go. And they're mostly deciding, what? I want to do that. This is what the system is terrified of. The system wants those resources kept here. The system wants those Passport Bros kept here. Because at the end of the day, you can always be plan B for one of these ruined domestics who is looking for plan B. That is their plan for you. And as you can see, all of these articles, all of these stories have the exact same thing in common. They're all backhanded attacks. So they pose themselves as articles and then they attack with agendas. That's what they're doing. So that's just the reality. Reading this tripe is tiresome. It's not as prevalent as it was, let's say, 1 year ago. I believe that the Passport Bros in general have already made their point. They've got websites up now. They've got apps up now. They've got lots and lots of videos on YouTube. The reality is, it's like the Passport Bros are going to keep doing what they're doing. They're also sharing plenty of receipts that nobody... what's funny? Nobody talks about all these Passport Bros who are literally getting married, having families and children overseas. Nobody talks about any of that. Have you noticed that? The only thing they seem to talk about in these articles is the Passport Bros going to South America and getting drugged, or when something happens to one of them, like they get robbed or killed or something like that. Those are the only things that they're talking about. Notice that what you don't see are the marriages. You don't see the children of these marriages. Notice that you don't see any of that. And that's how they want to keep the propaganda going. But the passport bros already know what's up. They already see what's up. They already understand the agenda. They already understand the lie. They already understand it. So all they have to do is keep doing exactly what they're doing. And eventually, once the movement maybe hits about 30 to 40%, and then they realize, wait a minute, these guys aren't staying home and they're not playing ball. The only way to win is not to play. And that's it. And the passport bros know it. So the reality is just keep doing what you're doing. Get your passport. Take your resources. See the world. Experience dating overseas. And you'll find the light. Because you're not going to find it here.
And she just kissed me too. Yeah, I gotta book my flight. That's it. I'm booking my.
You pay attention to the passport bros. Like, they're getting women from like the DR, Colombia,
Yes.
The Philippines, Thailand. Like, women that can speak very little English, women that don't have education, women that
need them. Women that need
women
them.
are raised to be wives. They learn everything
these other communities,
from birth, from their father, from their mother, how to be a wife and how to support your man.
Women that need them.
It's not even women that need them. It's women that treat them with respect.
So we don't.
Y'all know y'all don't.
Stop yourself.
That's not true.
Women are poor and vulnerable.
Easier to manipulate.
Know their place.
disadvantaged are in dire financial need.
They want their visas. They have to be quiet. They don't know better. That's why you have to go to developing countries to try to take their women.
And it sickens me. And
Yes, they'll do what you say.
she is in a dire situation
Because she doesn't know about much in life.
They have to bow and scrape at these men's feet
If you are a man
and brag about
go to underprivileged third world countries,
to get a wife, an obedient wife.
you are a predator.
Don't you want to be with a woman that is worldly, educated, well-traveled, can bring something to the table, rather than somebody that has absolutely no idea about anything in life and really can't contribute anything outside of just being a woman?
Idea of being well-traveled is a giant red flag for most
Why is
men,
that?
because typically, when a woman, if I look at a woman's Instagram page and I see pictures of her on a private jet, on a yacht, in multiple different fancy locations, she's in Mykonos here, she's in Paris, she's in Dubai, she's in New York, my immediate assumption is this woman is a hoe.
Do you like tall black guys?
I've never met someone outside of Korea yet.
Really?
So.
Can I be the first?
We can have a date.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I've never dated for somebody from South Korea before, so. Do you have WhatsApp? Do they use WhatsApp?
Yeah, I can put my WhatsApp number. Like, my WhatsApp
cool.
number is in Argentina.
Why?
Because I downloaded that WhatsApp for the first time in my life in Argentina.
You're an interesting person, Suman. You're a very interesting person.
To be continued.